Well, Girne Kasapoglu is a defense analyst at Center for Economic and Foreign Policy Research. He joins me now from Paris. So, hi, Girne. Good to speak to you. If this motion is passed, what would it mean in military terms for Turkey?
Well, this is definitely not a war cry, but this is what we can call as a military muscle flexing, especially with the National Security Council's decision, which is recommendatory, but gives an important hint about Turkey's military options. After the parliamentary mandate, it means that all military options, including a land incursion, including airstrikes, including coercive diplomacy, would be on the table for the Turkish administration. This is by all means disclude like any kind of unilateral action by Ankara without consulting the UN Security Council. But this also means that Turkey is boosting its national defense capacities vis-a-vis any kind of fait accompli coming from Erbil.
And what impact would it have in looking at neighboring countries and from outside if this motion is passed and if there is a military intervention?
Well, first of all, we should see the major stakeholders here. First and foremost, Baghdad. Baghdad is actually in the crossroads. It wouldn't like to see a Turkish incursion into its territory, but it also does not want to see a KRG region led by Barzani to come up with a fait accompli that would just threaten the territorial unity of Iraq. So I think they would just, if this comes, of course, we are talking about a hypothetical scenario, but if Turkey opts for a limited incursion, Baghdad would diplomatically condemn it. But I don't think that, like, at reality, they would be very upset to see Turkey preventing KRG to go uncontrolled and unchecked. That being said, another stakeholder is Iran. And Iran is very effective in the region through popular mobilization forces mostly based in a sectarian Shia structure. This is the first and foremost threat in Iraq because these forces, these popular mobilization forces, are not fully controlled by Baghdad, are not fully controlled by the Abadi government. So there is actually a Kurdish-Arab civil war threat and risk in Iraq. These are major two actors like Baghdad and Iran, the two stakeholders that can involve. Of course, we can talk about the United States. Of course, we can talk about Israel. But these are mostly diplomatic positions that would have indirect military impacts.
And Turkey said it is a threat to its domestic security. How and what would it mean in the sense of the terrorist groups that are in that region?
First of all, Turkey's threat perceptions should be well understood. We can say like two major points is really threatening Turkey's national security. The first is if an intra-Kurdish civil war or an Arab-Kurd civil war comes to Iraq, and if there happens another power vacuum, since 1991, the first Gulf War, any power vacuum played into the hands of PKK. And we now know that in Sinjar, based on the mountain Sinjar, we have PKK-affiliated groups trying to extend their influence, paramilitary influence within their terrorist campaign into northern Iraq. So this is Turkey's major threat perception, especially coupled with the developments in Syria, in northern Syria. And secondly, actually, geopolitically looking at the region, I think Turkey does not want to see any kind of breakup in the national territories at a time when the Sykes-Picot status quo is about to be upside down. So I think Turkey is like pursuing threat from any kind of euphoria in the region that could lead to the breakup of Iraq, dissolution of Iraq, and this could definitely mirror into the neighboring countries, first and foremost in Syria. I think these two major columns, let's say, of Turkish national security is now being reflected both in the National Security Council's decisions and the ongoing parliamentary mandate discussions.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. Girne Kasapoglu, the defense analyst from Paris.